Today, we're going to be talking about the college search program. We have Kelsey King and Heather. She's from our Scott campus. We'll see her throughout the year. May have seen her last year in person in the fall. And then we have Heather Evans, who is from the Clinton campus. And we have Ellie Thomas, one of our counselors here at high school. So we'll be talking about all the things that you can do to help get ready with that college search and how to make that decision on which college to choose. And then the students did ask questions, so we'll cover those as well. All right, and with that, Kelsey, if you want to go ahead and get started.
All right, great. Well, thanks everyone for being with us today. I'm excited to be here with you. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself first. So I did attend Pleasant Valley High School, so go Spartans. I then went to Scott Community College for 2 years, and then I transferred to Western Illinois University. So I can give you both that community college as well as university experience. And Heather Evans went to Clinton Community College and then went to the University of Iowa. So she can give you, answer questions or talk with you more about that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. So we're going to be talking about college fairs, the college search process, and everything that's involved in that. So, oh my, because it can be a little overwhelming. There's a lot to it. So it's ultimately about finding the right fit for you. So where your friends are going to college or where your parents went to college doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the right fit for you as well. Sometimes students tell me, oh, I'm going here because that's where my friends are going. And that's really not how you should be basing your college decision off of. So it's really finding that right fit for you so that you can prevent buyer's remorse later on. And you're able to make a really well-informed decision about what you're looking for in the college search process. So it's really individualized to you, what you as a student are looking for. And so how do you know what's the right fit for you and how can you start? That process is to really ask yourself what you're looking for in your college experience. So what's important to you? Is it cost, your program, the size of the college, the location, housing, where are you going to live? What's the transportation? Can you walk to classes? Can you drive to campus? Is there public transportation? Do you want to attend a community college? Do you want to go to a university? Or you can even do both like Heather and I did. So these are just some topics to start asking yourself what's important to you and what are you looking for in your experience, in your college experience. And so we can have some people that can help you once you know what it is you're looking for. So Heather?
Yeah, so we definitely encourage you to reach out to many different resources in terms of being able to find out some answers to some of the questions that you have about attending a different kind of college or university. We encourage you to reach out to the people like us, the admissions counselors at all the different institutions that you might be considering, and ask whatever questions, because that's why we're here and we're excited to help you and to be able to help answer those questions for you. Your wonderful school counselors like those that are on here with us today, and then teachers, parents, and family members, ask them about their college experience. Where did they go? Why did they choose those places? What did they really like about it? What maybe would they have changed, or what was a challenge about it? Get some of that information from them. Community resources. So like for instance, we have what's called the IQCCP fair coming up, and normally that would be an in-person fair, but this year it's going to be a virtual fair, and there are a large number of colleges and universities that are going to be participating in that virtually on October 12th. And that's a community resource that you can seek out and participate in. So definitely look to your area institutions, even if you might not be interested in attending a college or university that's close to you. Still research what kind of opportunities they have going on, because between those and then some of the other area high schools, they might have some resources for you to be able to help with that search. And then your employer, if you are currently employed, you might want to talk to your employer about why they got into what they did and where they went to school to do that, especially if it's something you might be interested in doing. And then pretty much anyone who's been through college. So if you hear anyone talking about their college experience, or you want to ask them, you know, did you go to college? Or if you didn't, you know, do you wish that you had, or where would you maybe have gone, or what were you considering? So it's really about having a lot of conversation, and staying and having open communication with people about their experiences to get as much help as you can get in that search process. Okay, and then so for a web search, the pros and the cons with a web search for seeking out some college experiences, you're probably going to recognize right now that given the circumstances with some of the COVID precautions that are happening, I know I've got a senior right now in high school, and we are finding all kinds of experiences in terms of across the board for whether or not we can actually do an in-person college visit right now. So some schools are letting you do individual ones, but some schools are saying not right now, it's just not safe. And so the web search really is an important aspect all the time, but a really extra important aspect right now. The pros to that are unlimited access to information. It's a great starting point where you have to put little investment in, just basically some time to get online and search that out. Super convenient, because as we all know with our phones and our iPads and our computers, it's a convenient way to be searching out some information. And you can look at colleges outside of your general area. So you can definitely get some information on a school on the East Coast if you're looking at that, or all the way on the West Coast, and you're not out a whole lot because you're just searching online. And then it's a great way to get initial information. So if you just want to fill out like a please send me information form on the site, pretty much every college website has seeking more information form, and you can fill that out and even get more information about your interested program of study. So the cons to that, though, could be that you may see online what you see may not be what you actually get in person. So of course, just like anyone or anything, you're trying to put your best face forward in your photos and all the things that you might be putting out there. And so you might see the newest of the new buildings that might be a building or two buildings, where the rest of the campus might not be what you would be looking for. So just make sure that we cannot reiterate enough, whenever you might have the opportunity to actually do an in-person campus visit, please take advantage of that experience, because like the next says, you don't get a feel for the campus experience if you're only doing a web search. It's really important to know what it feels like to actually step foot on the campus, to meet some of the people, and to know if it feels like a place where you're going to feel comfortable and just really have the experience that you're looking for in college. And of course, you want to have a campus tour. All sorts of colleges are putting together virtual campus tours right now. But as great as those can be, and as much as we need to use them in the world that we're in right now, it certainly does not take the place of an actual in-person campus tour. So that can kind of serve as a con, but it's definitely a good start. So all things to consider when looking for a web search of your college or university of choice.
So college fairs are going to be another great resource for you. Again, given the current situation we are all in now, these do look different. Most college fairs now have moved from being face-to-face to online virtually. So they'll, the way I've seen it working is there'll be different breakout rooms within a Zoom that you can go in and talk to multiple colleges. So they'll be available for you all at the same day and time that the virtual fair is going on, so you can pop in and out to the different Zooms to talk to colleges that way. So that's how we're seeing them be moved virtually right now. But college fairs are a really great place to just one-stop shop. You're going to have so many colleges and universities available to you at one time to get a lot of your questions answered. So it's going to be convenient as well. You can also receive brochures and materials if you were face-to-face, and this is just another great resource to start to get some more information. And oftentimes your parents will participate in the college fairs too, because they're going to have questions and may know of things to ask that you may not. So parents do like to help and participate in that college search process as well. So there's no campus tour with college fairs. Sometimes if they are face-to-face, they may be on a college campus, but there's no tour. It may be overwhelming because you are talking to so many colleges at one time. And if you are in person, sometimes there may be a line to, or a short wait to meet with a college representative. But a college fair is a great way to get a lot of information at one time. And then, as Heather had emphasized before, campus visits are something that we really recommend all students do if you can. It's really going to make sure that this is the right fit for you. Really can see if the college is going to check off all of those boxes. So at the beginning, I asked you to do that self-assessment. Ask yourself what's important to you, what are you looking for? And as you're going around the campus visit and a tour and you're talking with staff and faculty, and you can really start to see if that's checking off all of the boxes and had everything that you are looking for. So the campus tour, you'll meet everyone. You can sit in on a class and observe what that looks like, because that is different at every college. The class size will vary. So you can ask yourself if you see yourself being here on that campus or not. And you'll get to see the residence halls. And you can do campus visits in a group format, or you can do them individually one-on-one. So when you are scheduling your campus visit, there may be an option for you to select what type of visit it is that you are wanting.
Okay, great. So with admissions requirements, you always want to make sure to pay special attention to all the different pieces and details involved in the admission process. So with the application for admission, you'll want to see, does it have a cost to it or is it free? Always know that a lot of times there may be a fee waiver available, and so if you are interested in checking that information out, there's usually information online about that, or you can ask the admissions representative more information about it. A lot of times your high school counselor might have a good idea about that as well. And a lot of colleges right now are also offering they're waiving their application fees just due to COVID and knowing that a lot of difficult circumstances are existing for families. So just kind of make sure that you're checking out all that information. Whether or not you'll need references for your application, just make sure that you're paying special attention to the type of reference that it's asking for, because if it's not asking for a personal reference, you want to make sure that you're not using like a family member or just a personal friend. You want to make sure that you're going to be asking someone to serve as a reference that would be like, that could speak to your character and to be able to give you or give the institution the information they're looking for, just not from a family or a friend. And then, is there a deadline? Definitely always pay special attention to deadline dates. Know that you'll want to ask for like those references and gather all the other materials and plenty of time for the deadline. So one of the things I would say is to definitely look at what that deadline date is first and foremost, and then work your way back a number of weeks prior to that, or even months, I mean, depending on how soon in the process you're looking, and make sure that you're giving everyone involved in the process plenty of time to get the information in that you're seeking. And then, do you know your information? A lot of times they're going to ask for your cumulative GPA. They many times will ask for the coursework that you took while you were in high school. So like the general education course requirements that you would be taking while in high school to apply for college. So just a bunch of different things like that. There are some great resources out there that are kind of like almost like a personal resume to put together, where you can do like a high school resume where you're putting your information together and gathering all of that so that you have it. I've found a lot of times that when students will come to me and ask for references for things like scholarships or otherwise, when they can hand over to me that sheet of reference that they have on themselves, that's so helpful to me, because I may know the student in like in a club or organization regard or as a student ambassador, but I might not know all the other wonderful things that the student's been involved in. And so if you gather your information together in kind of like a one sheet of information that you have then to be able to keep for yourself and also share with others, it really makes the process go a lot smoother. So definitely something to consider.
And I'll just add quickly too about knowing your information is to make sure you're typing in your accurate information. You don't want to have any misspellings. If you go by Mike, but your legal name is Michael, you need to put in Michael. So just slow down when you're entering in your information on your applications, your financial aid, and even scholarships to make sure that there are no errors.
Absolutely. So with assessment testing, so ACT, SAT, ALEX, so the ALEX is a math placement. There's also one called AccuPlacer that some institutions use. So you want to make sure that you are aware as to whether or not there are score requirements or just some assessment scores in terms of being able to place you in certain courses with the advisors at the college or university. So I did kind of do a little bit of research with our friends at the University of Iowa and found out that at the Regent School, so Iowa State and UNI, because of COVID, they are making their I'll just read you what he told me. Some schools, such as the Regent schools, right now are going test optional. So if the student supplies the score and it meets the RAI admission requirements, so that's that kind of three-step admission requirement piece, then the student will be admitted quickly. So if you have taken ACT, you submit that score, it fits within what the requirement is, you're going to get through that process pretty quickly. If you don't, though, supply a score, they're not requiring it as they sometimes have in the past, and you'll just be looked at in an individual basis, and they'll be looking at some of the other pieces in terms of the way that they're weighing that. So just know that if you've had a little bit of difficulty in terms of COVID testing dates, causing you to not maybe get another ACT score that you were maybe hoping to get, or if you haven't even had the chance to take it yet, just work with your admissions counselor at whichever institution you're looking at attending and find out what it is that they're going to be doing with that, and whether or not, you need to move forward with making sure that you're getting that test date, supplied. And do know that there are some locations that are, I know that we are one of those locations that are moving forward with hosting some test dates. So we have had students that have come from Chicago to come here because they didn't have testing sites available in their area. And so there are definitely going to be some options, but also know that talk with your admission counselors about that and whether or not you, want to move forward and seek out those opportunities.
Could I just add really quick about that with the test optional, that while schools in general, University of Iowa, may be going test optional, some of the specific colleges, such as like the College of Engineering, may still require those ACT or SAT scores. So if you're looking at some of those specific colleges, you want to check not just overall the college, but those particular colleges within the college.
That's a very good point. Yeah, very good point, because I know like within like nursing programs and different things like that, a lot of times they require those scores as well. So very good point.
So another thing that colleges will ask for is your transcripts, and your transcript is a record of the classes and grades you received while you were in high school. There's an unofficial and an official transcript. The official transcripts will come to the college or university directly from the school, and these are typically going to be sent once you have finished high school. or towards your end of your senior year. Unofficial transcripts are typically the transcripts that the students or parents can have access to see their students' grades or courses. So it is the difference between an unofficial and an official one. I will add that your senior year grades do matter. It is important that you finish strong and continue to take your core courses throughout your senior year. So if you take math off your senior year and then you go into your college level math, you may be a little rusty. You may have forgotten some of that information. So it is important to finish strong into your senior year and still continue to take those core courses.
And I'll just add to this, students, you can access your unofficial transcript at any time through your Infinite Campus portal. And then when you are applying to your post-secondary institution, we use two different systems. If you apply through something like Common App or the Coalition, your counselor will directly upload your transcript to the institution. For any other transcripts, we use a system called Parchment, which is an electronic sending system. And so you will be emailed Parchment login information to your school email within the next few weeks. And so it'll be important for you to keep that, maybe forward it to your personal email address so that you have that for the end of the year when you need to send those official transcripts.
Thanks, Ellie. Every school does it differently. So some do them electronically through Parchment, some just email them. So, and then it's important to know where at the college do you send those. So oftentimes it's going to be the registrar's office or student services office. So you need to make sure you know where those need to go to the college or university that you are attending.
I think something too with the transcripts is those that are taking dual credit. With Scott, make sure that you're requesting those transcripts through Scott's website, and because we have quite a few students that do take those dual credit and forget that they have to request from both places.
Right, and we will send out instructions on how to request that Scott transcript in May prior to graduation, so students have that reminder.
Yes, that's a good point too. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, you'll want to make sure if you're doing any of those concurrent courses to have your Scott transcript sent as well. So as far as the registration goes, this is where you're going to meet with an advisor and create your class schedule. Your college schedule looks very different than what you have been used to during your time in high school. So you have a lot more flexibility in what you want your schedule to look like. There's not a bell dismissing you from class to class. You don't have a set time for lunch. So it's going to be different. If you are not a morning person, it's good for you to know that. So your advisor won't put you in a first thing 8 o'clock class then if you can't get to it. Or if you're working while going to school and you need all of your classes in the morning, so you can work in the afternoon. So those are just really important things to communicate to your advisor what you are needing in your schedule. But then also in what format do you want your classes? Because you can do your courses online, you can do them face-to-face. And now with everything going on with COVID, there's some other options students can choose from now too, such as live online, where you're logged in at a set day and time like we are here. To do your courses over Zoom. So you have different options in even how you take your courses. Some students learn better face-to-face. Other students prefer online where they can have that flexibility. So you're going to be able to create your schedule to some extent what you want it to be in college. And your schedule will be unique and individualized to you. No one's going to have the same schedule. So get to know your advisor well. They'll be able to get the schedule that you need, but also provide you with lots of other resources and help guide you during that process. So there are registration deadlines as well. So keep an eye out on when you need to be registering and meeting with an advisor by. You want to register sooner in the process versus waiting because classes will fill up. So if there's a certain class you want at certain times, register sooner versus later.
So part of the becoming a student process is an orientation. And orientations can look quite a bit differently depending on the institution that you're attending. But for the most part, a lot of the topics that are covered and things that you're doing at an orientation consist of things like a tour. And so while you may do a campus tour when you do like a campus visit or something, the tour that you might get at orientation could be a little bit more in depth, and a lot of times might even be offered by a current student or student ambassador at the school that you're attending. So that's really great too, because it can give you an opportunity to ask some questions student to student. And a lot of times they'll also have like student panels at the orientations where you'll get that chance to be able to ask a lot of different questions at the orientation and get a lot of your questions answered. The student resources and services, you get the chance to really dig a little bit deeper into all those different things that might be available to you. You will oftentimes be able to get your student ID, which is really important because not only depending on the school that you're attending, it could serve as your kind of like your lunch ticket. It can serve as something for your parking, maybe even to get into your buildings, library card. The student ID can be a very, very important piece to your orientation and your college experience overall. And a lot of times you can get some really great discounts with your student ID as well. Also information on parking, whether or not you might need a parking pass wherever you might be attending, if you can even have a car on campus, just a bunch of different great information like that. A lot of times you can finalize any like financial aid or financial questions you might have that you need answered, information about insurance, a bunch of those different kinds of resources and services. Your library resources, a lot of times that orientation will include a tour through your library, and you can learn that, you know, the libraries are often more than about just the books in front of you, but a lot of the online and electronic resources and a lot of the different ways that the libraries communicate with each other to be able to help serve you in the best possible way for all of those great assignments that you're going to have while in college. And then tutors and academic success opportunities. So where you would go to find a tutor, whether or not tutors are readily and available to you, if there's a cost or if it's free, and just ways to make sure that you're having the most academic success. So orientation is a very integral part for the becoming a student process at college. So definitely something that many times they'll require it as part of your process. And even if they don't require it, we most certainly recommend it, because I know you oftentimes too, sometimes people meet who end up being some of their best friends for life at their college orientation. So definitely something to participate in. So that's for college orientations. And then one of my most favorite things to talk about ever are scholarships. So preparing now for scholarships, no matter where you might be in your process or what grade you might be in, just to start familiarizing yourself with the scholarship process. The assessment scores that we talked about earlier, making sure that you're prepared and have the assessment scores. I know a question came up in the chat about, you know, if your college wasn't requiring the ACT, but what if some scholarships were? That's a really great question and thing to point out, because you want to make sure that you're looking at kind of the overall process involved and whether or not those assessment scores are required. So take a look at those things. The reference letters we also talked about earlier in terms of the application process. Reference letters for scholarships. We want to make sure that, first of all, that you're asking in plenty of time to the people that you're asking, and ask people that you know are going to be able to speak, you know, that might know you as an overall like well-rounded, you know, individual that can speak to all of those different pieces, and share that information with them that I had mentioned earlier in terms of all of the different things that you maybe have been involved in, or give them a little bit of guidance in terms of what you might want them to highlight if the scholarship is for something in particular, and you want to make sure that it's not forgotten that you had been very involved in something that might have a lot to do with that particular thing. Just, you know, as much information as you can help share to make your reference letters as wonderful as they can be. And then if there's an essay involved in the scholarship, pay attention to what it's asking for you. Make sure that you're answering the question or the statement that it is that's being asked about to have detailed in the essay. And also, if it's asking for a sentence or two, give them a sentence or two. If it's asking for a paragraph, give them a paragraph. You know, definitely in this particular instance, more isn't always better. Like, it's more important to make sure that you're paying attention to the detail, because they'll want to know that you're someone, you know, definitely that can pay attention to those details and kind of what the parameters are around the scholarship requirements. The deadlines, again, same thing like I had said with the scholars or with the application for admission deadlines. Pay attention, take a look at the scholarship applications, what those deadline dates are, and then make sure that you're giving yourself and anyone else that's involved in this process with you enough time to make sure that you're going to hit that deadline. And then know that there are internal, meaning internal like with the college or the institution. So look on the college websites and look for, they may have college foundation scholarships. And that just means that donors from around the community and maybe alumni have given money to the college to provide all these different scholarships for students. And then there are external scholarships available. So like on many of the college websites, like on our college website, we not only have foundation scholarship applications for our institution, but we know students may be attending like a different college, and we encourage them yet still to go to our scholarship website, because we have a whole listing of external scholarships on our website that you can apply for that go toward any school that you might be interested in attending. So really use those school websites, take a look at their scholarship pages, their financial aid pages, and take a look at what kind of resources they provide for you. And then also look around at like where you or family members might be employed. Also like banks, credit unions, a lot of different places like that will give a bunch of different scholarships too if you've been members. So look at all different sorts of opportunities for scholarship opportunities for you.
And then the other thing you want to complete when you are a senior is your FAFSA. And I'm not going to go into too much detail of this because it is a session we are offering next month for all of you to join, where we'll get into a lot more detail on it. But if you are a senior, just know it does open up for you October 1st, and you will complete that on the FAFSA.gov website. You will need 2019 tax information, so you do need your parent information for this. The session is October 9th there, I put up there, and then don't wait or put it off. As soon as you can complete your FAFSA this fall, you need to do it, okay? As soon as you can start to apply for scholarships, apply to colleges, complete anything in your college process, please do it. So again, I'm not going to go too much more on financial aid, but just complete it as early as you can. And then I did just add some quick tips here. Ask your questions early, watch for deadlines, visit face-to-face as many colleges as you can if possible, and really start to do some compare and contrast and ask yourself again, what's the right fit for you? What are you looking for, and which colleges is giving all of that to you? And give yourself the gift of time. I just mentioned this. Start things as soon as possible and don't wait till the last minute to complete these things. And then review your admissions criteria. It's going to be different for every college, so make sure you're keeping an eye on that information. If you do want to visit any of our Eastern Iowa Community College campuses, we do offer them via Zoom and face-to-face as well. So these are the days and times that we do have opportunities available for you. The face-to-face one for September will not be available at the Clinton campus, but the future ones should be. So just reach out to us if you have any interest in, if you have any questions at all about the college search process in general, whether it's related to Eastern Iowa Community Colleges or not, we are a resource here for you in the community and are more than happy to help you. Our financial aid office can help you even if you're not coming to us. So please know that we are just a resource here in the community with our contact information up there on the screen should you need to reach out to us for anything.
And with that, I'm going to let Ellie Thomas say some things about what maybe from the high school perspective, what should we do or what should students do for that college search process?
Sure. So I'm sure seniors, you remember in the past we have used a program called Career Cruising where you went in and were able to look at different careers and take some quizzes to kind of match yourself with careers. From there, you can use that same program to kind of look for schools and find a best match. Now, we are using a different program this year called Zello that we will be introducing to you, hopefully sooner than later. Unfortunately, with our current situation, it's not the best time to transition to a new program, but we're going with it anyway. So also, use your school counselors. We are here specifically to answer your questions that we love to, okay? Mrs. Johnson is also an excellent resource in the school. And then also on our school counseling page, we have some other resources, something like Big Future, where you can kind of go in and tailor your ideal college situation as far as location and size of the school and cost and program of study, and kind of narrow down your options within Iowa or outside of Iowa. So again, we can help you do that. Don't hesitate to stop in or schedule a Google Meet with your counselor. Our appointment times are available on the school counseling website, so don't ever hesitate to come see us.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ms. Thomas. I think too, one of the things that I'd like to add that I think they mentioned right at the beginning was make sure that you're looking at the colleges for what your future plans. Will it meet what you're wanting to do in the future? Not just 5 years out, but 10 years, 15 years out. Is it going to set you up for the best success that you can have on there? And look at colleges. I can't stress that enough. Scott did a great job of talking about that with that you need to go out and don't go just with what your friends say or, you know, this is what your family has always done. Look at colleges to compare to see if you have the best deal for the financial, for the programs that you want, and then of course the fit that it makes you feel like you're a part of that community, because it's going to be a 2-year, 4-year program for you, so you want to be happy where you're going to be at. And with that, for the students, do you have any questions that you've thought of while we've had this? Otherwise, we did get questions and we can ask some of those. Okay, I think a couple of the questions, how do they know if the college is the one for them?
I think you can do as much research you can online as possible to make sure that it is a match for what you are looking for. However, we've mentioned several times that word fit. And for me, fit isn't just that it meets my criteria on paper, it's also how it makes me feel. And often that requires that on-site visit. And so truly, you know, if it checks the boxes and it feels like the place for you, that's a really great place to start.
And Kelsey and Heather had both mentioned too that going and visiting that college is really the best thing. And while we are in a COVID world and some of the colleges may be closed for those group visits, you can go on campus, you and your folks, and just walk around. You may not be able to see the faculty without that appointments and visits that they have, but you can go see what the campus looks like and go on a time when when they're in session, so that you can see as you're walking around what it's like.
That's right.
And I think another question, when do they start applying?
So if you are a senior and graduating this year, basically applications are open, so you can apply anytime. You know, my absolute advice is apply before the deadline. So if you are applying to multiple schools, I think it's in your best interest to make sure you have created some sort of spreadsheet for yourself with application due dates and whether or not they need letters of recommendation so that you do not miss that deadline. Some schools you'll find have an absolute date. Some schools have rolling admission deadlines, and you can really apply in waves at any time. But if you are a senior, now's the time to get started. If you are a junior, I typically tell my students you can start looking up those deadlines during the summer before your senior year and really get started.
And I think too that Heather had mentioned about scholarships on there. And some of those scholarships have due dates before maybe the college has their application deadline. So you want to make sure that not only are you, when you're applying for those colleges, you're looking at those scholarship deadlines that they offer in-house. Like we have our in-house scholarships. Colleges also have those. You want to make sure that those are, you're meeting those deadlines as well.
Right. And sometimes earlier admission does not mean an earlier decision from the school, but sometimes it does. Sometimes you may have your acceptance a little earlier, and if you have that early acceptance because you have applied earlier in the school year, that does give you a little bit more time to make that final decision for yourself as well.
And Kelsey or Heather, maybe you could answer the question about if students with the test optional, if they decide not to have their ACT, or rather, how do they decide if they should include their ACT? Could you talk about that a little bit more?
So yeah, so every college is going to be different. For example, like for us, we don't require the ACT. You can do the ALEX test or the AccuPlacer. With the test optional that Heather was talking about. So it's really going to be individualized to which college it is you're going to. If they don't need if you don't want to do the ACT, but they accept, you know, the ALEX, you can do that. So it's really going to be up to you as a student and the college and what they're asking for.
Is there a reason why a student, or a time when a student shouldn't include their ACT if that is a test optional thing?
Not that I can think of. If they're not asking for it, you don't have to submit it.
But sometimes as well, maybe your GPA isn't as stellar as you feel like it could be. Submitting an ACT score may actually help in some situations if your GPA and your core courses make you feel like you may not be the strongest candidate as well. So the counseling office is putting out a series of senior seminar videos, and we will be having a full video on testing put out next week, just so you are aware that we've got that information coming, and we will be covering test optional and what to do in that as well.
Perfect. Okay. And then how do you choose the college that's best for your career choice? And that any of the three of you, what advice would you give for that?
I often, there's been some suggestions to check like LinkedIn and things like that, where you can actually see data about college majors and schools that employees have been and what their job acceptance rate is. You also want to make sure that, for example, if you're going to an engineering school, and most employers need you to complete a program that's like a certified program, you want to make sure that the school you choose has the appropriate program for your goals. And so again, that really gets very specific. And those are the questions that I'm sure your admissions officers and your school counselors are more than happy to answer on an individual basis.
Okay, if there's not any other questions, and I don't see any more in the chat, I think that we're good to go. I hope that you found some information that you can use for the future. We will be having, as Kelsey mentioned, FAFSA, and that'll be about financial aid in FAFSA coming up October 9th. So we'll have that out in the announcements here starting next week. If you want to go ahead and sign up for that. And throughout the year, we're going to be having different how to do a better job, get as much information as you can for getting this whole college and post-secondary search going on the right foot on there. So I want to thank Kelsey and Heather and Ms. Thomas. So thank you very much for coming and joining us. The students, thank you so much for attending. We appreciate it. If you are using your personal email so that I can't see your name, if you want to send that to me in an email, who you were that attended, I can go ahead and I will send you the link, the recorded link as well, so you have this for future reference. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.